Okay, let's talk about Sysmon. Sysmon is fantastic. It is a tool that, now in principle, you could use the Windows event logs to track down what's happening on a Windows machine. But if you try that, you will find that the Windows event logs create hundreds of events for every simple thing like opening a folder, opening a file. So it creates a flood of events, most of which are not helpful, and it doesn't really record the most useful information for every event. So if you want to monitor a Windows server, or for that matter, a client, you should install Sysmon. And you installed Swift on Security's configuration file, which removes the boring events. And the point of Sysmon is it gives you very useful events for instant response. And you can read about them here. It's a Microsoft product from sysinternals, so you can trust it. And what it does is it creates very simple events like this. A process is created. A process changed a file creation time, a network connection, process terminated, driver loaded, and so on. There are not very many of these, really only like 15 or 20 of these events, and they're all very useful, like a registry value created, a file created. So you get a nice, efficient list of events, all of which mean something you can understand, which is not so much true of the raw Windows event logs. So let's look at the process creation events. Now that was Sysmon event ID 1. So let's find them in Splunk. So I'll go up here. I'm just going to get rid of everything. And there's a lot of ways to do this. I think I'll just keep the index and then change my event sampling to 1 in 1,000 to get it moving. So I'm looking at all the events, so I'm going to find a bunch of them. And now I can look at source type. And here I see Sysmon, operational. That's what I want, the Sysmon events, not this other stuff. So I click on that. Now I'm finding Sysmon events. Now I'd like to find the Sysmon event ID, which is probably here. Yep, 1237, that's it. So I want the Sysmon event ID 1. Those are process creation events. And I'm only finding one of them, but I'm at sampling 1 in 1,000. So let's turn off the sampling and find them all. All right, looks like there's 12,000 of them or something. No, 58 found. Okay, so it's finding those events. Let's go back to my instructions. All right. Find events, examine command line to find the correct event. So let's go back to here. All right, now it records the command line of the creation event. This is why I say I love this. It shows you the command line to launch the event. So here it is launching something called conhost, and it's running something PGP and WMI, PR, VSE, and so on. So the command line right there has nice, useful information. And remember, there was a file name. We already knew the file name from before. I think it was 3791.exe. So I'm just going to put that here if I remember it right. Yep, looks like it does remember it. So, and now I found 5 events. And if I look at those command lines, this is the one that launches it. CMD/C opens a new console window running this process and redirecting the output to throw it away. Here's one that actually looks like this one creates the window and this one seems to run it. So it's one of those two. And the question was, find the file's MD5 hash. So let's, we should be able to find the MD5 hash inside here, and you can see it. Here's hashes, SHA-1, SHA-256. Let's see if we hashes. I'm not seeing MD5 hashes, but I think there's MD5 field. There you are. Here's some MD5 hashes. So one of these is correct, and it gets a little confusing to figure out which one is correct. I think this is the one that actually literally launched the process. So I think it's this one that's the correct one, but it might be the one before it that was CMD/C. I often have to go back and forth. One of them is the parent process, and one is actually this process. But like I say, this is why Sysmon is great. You know exactly what file was launched. You know its hash value. You know when it was launched. It's very useful data that you can find very quickly. much more than you would by using the raw Windows default logs. So I'm going to stop this one.